Hello, everyone. I'm Ruben, Director of Coaching for the WSA. I'm recording this presentation for all our U9 Rec coaches for the upcoming fall 2022. This will be a crash course, hoping that it will provide you with the most important information that you can then use as you get ready for the upcoming fall season. There's a couple of things I'm going to go through. All right. So what do you can you expect? So I'll highlight the learning objectives for U9 Rec for the upcoming fall, or actually U9 in general. But again, this is U9 Rec, so we're going to make sure it's a tailor-fit approach for the age group. I'll talk about the setup of the program and what your role is within the setup of our program. Obviously, our volunteers play an important role in the success. We're very helpful, very thankful that you guys are willing to volunteer your time, because we as an organization rely heavily on people like yourself that are willing, driven, and passionate to help out youngsters to get a better understanding of the game of soccer. So again, there's going to be a crash course. I'll go through things slowly while keeping in mind that there's only so much time I have to discuss all this. So just want to make sure we're clear on all this. So a couple of key things that drive everything that we do. All right, so the number one out of the three things that is key to our success is that we want to make sure players are given the opportunity to fall in love with the sport, provide them with a sport for life. So, really what that means is fall in love with. At whatever level they play, right? That doesn't matter. But as long as it becomes a passion for them, we know they're going to stick with it. For learning to take place, it's very simple. They got to love what they're doing. All right. And they should be out on the field because they want to. All right. If we are able to make that happen, it's going to be much easier for us to create a suitable learning environment for those youngsters. All right. A sport for life. We want to make sure it's a safe environment, an environment in which everything we do is based on the need of the children. All right. I'll touch on that in a follow-up slide as well. But good coaches are able to take children, I should say, place where they wouldn't go get on their own. They're able to push them outside their comfort zone. They're demanding, but the players also know that these coaches have their back when need be. All right. This is a very important part of our development philosophy. Understanding how child development works. Children learn by doing and making mistakes. I mean, a very simple example is, children go from, laying on their back to rolling over to the belly to being able to get up, to starting to wobble and going to run, right? Obviously, that's a very brief summary of something that takes months, right? And that process is filled with mistakes along the way. But children don't care. That's part of how they develop. It applies to everything they do. It also applies to this environment. Failure doesn't exist. Allow them to make mistakes. Let's find a way to normalize mistakes. So the manner in which we coach, the manner in which we respond to mistakes made has a big influence on their overall development. Last but not least, soccer is, and you may have heard this before, but it's truly a player's game. A game in which the players need to drive it, a game in which the players need to be able to make decisions on the fly based on what happens around them. Right? Training is there to prepare them to the best of our ability. So our objective is to develop capable and confident as well as independent decision makers. All right? So we try to do as much as we can within the game environment, as in training context, without neglecting the development of the technical ability of players. Excuse me. Right, very important. We want to make sure that when we're training and or even in gameplay, that players are allowed to make their own decisions, and we're not telling them what to do, aka controlling. We want players to drive the experience, take control of their own development. All right. There's only so much we can do. I believe the saying is you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. We got to find a way. And if they fall in love, as per point one, they're more likely to take charge of their own development. And if they fall in love with, which I referred to as well earlier, they are more likely to grab a ball on their own in their spare time. Okay. Make sure that we're always looking back at what we do, especially as coaches, to see what we do actually works for the group in our care. So in short, provide the players with a sport for life, create a safe environment, aka child-centered environment, and develop capable and confident independent decision makers. This is, in a nutshell, the why behind all that we do. So Child-centered, all right? That really means that we find a way to base everything on the needs of the children in front of us, all right? And their needs can differ, all right, based on their interest, ability, uh, age, gender. There's a lot of different things to consider, all right? But it should be based on their needs, making sure that they're given a chance to develop, all right? Again, based on the needs of the learner, as I just highlighted before. All right. So keep in mind that we as adults have a tendency to focus on our needs. All right. Create an environment which it's based on what we believe is best, based on our ego, what drives us. With as a result that we're maybe coaching more emotionally. We're making decisions at the expense of the development of children. And with that, I have to highlight that the way we see the game as adults is not how children see it. At the start of the fall 2022, a U9 rec player could be 7 years of age, right? They're not in the where they are in the development, I should say, where they are in the development is not where we are, obviously. They have so much growing to do physically, mentally. Their brain isn't fully developed. They don't see the things that we see, right? That you saw a game over the weekend or even a Champions League game during the week in which certain things occurred doesn't mean that the children are ready for that. Right? There's so many steps to take before that. That's why, as we move through it, right, children are provided with an opportunity to learn to play the game in a setup, a format that suits them. There's a reason why U7, U8 does 4v4. There's a reason why U9, we talk about 7-a-side, 8-a-side. Even for most U9 rec players, it's probably still too complicated a game as of right now. But there's a reason why we don't play 11-a-side. Don't think you can teach them the adult version of the game. It's about the children where they are in their development. Very important. So the learning objectives for U9, and I have to highlight here that it's really, really, really important that you keep things in perspective. So across the club, we have a development philosophy, we have learning objectives, and we have learning objectives specifically for each and every age group based on stages and ages of the development. Okay. Now, I can understand going into this season that as a coach, you want a lot done, but it's, again, important to keep things in perspective because of where they are and the amount of time that we have. We have 7 weeks of U9 rec soccer, right? 7 practice sessions, 7 games, where depending, of course, right? How much can you teach players in 14 contact moments, which 7 of them are training, all right, during the fall season? Just to put things in perspective and want you to be aware of that. So we're going to focus on age-appropriate content. The training is designed based on what we believe the children at U9 should get a better understanding of, right? We have narrowed our focus greatly, hoping that will help implement the most important concepts, and with that, accelerate the learning. It is very likely that you as a coach see 100 different things in a practice session that you want to address, but that's not how learning works, right? Focusing on a few key principles is key for the overall success. Building a good foundation upon which we can add layers, right? We need to build a foundation before we can put the walls up, before we can add the roof, right? To use a good metaphor, analogy, whatever you want to call it, right? Less is more. So where do you start when you want to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, of course. All right, that's why I want to share this with you. So less is more. Understand that you have limited time with players. All right, so one thing that a lot of our players at U9 need to get a better understanding of is the concept of width. All right, going up and down the field from end to end, from goal to goal, something they naturally get, especially going forward. But sometimes we need to utilize the width of the field to open up an opponent more effectively. How can we do that? In training, we'll address this through a lot of 2v1, 3v1, 3v2 activities linked to how we play the game, helping them understand that utilizing the width can draw opponents out. Can we utilize the width effectively? Are we able, as we open up the opponent, are we able to create openings to go forwards, whether that is on the pass, on the dribble? Are we able to find opportunities to go forwards? Are we able to find space or create space, right? Really important. Can we find space to go forwards? Can we also help players see those opportunities to go forwards and make better decisions? Or, as it sometimes happens, maybe sometimes we have to play ball out of pressure, go back before we can go forwards. And again, it is all about helping them make better decisions on the ball. All in all, what we want to make sure happens as well, along with all these concepts that I addressed, that the individual player becomes a better player, both on the ball as well as in their ability to make decisions. So our 4 learning objectives, our training curriculum for UNIREC is based upon these 4 objectives. With that, we are going to talk, and I'll highlight it shortly as well. We're going to talk about the basic rules of play. We are going into a 7-a-side, 8-a-side setup, depending on how many players each side has for every game, in which a couple different rules are included that weren't included when they played 4v4, 5v5 at U7 and U8. All right, so obviously, as part of the process, we want to make sure to get a better understanding of these basic rules. All right. Now, I want to highlight, along with all this, that there's no shortcuts on the road to success. There's no such thing as a quick fix. A lot of coaches, as I highlighted earlier, will see a lot of things that need to be addressed and need to be dealt with, so to speak. But there's only so much we can do in the short amount of time that we have. And we opted for those 4 that I just shared with you, well, also including the rules of play, getting a better understanding of set rules of play. But it takes time. All right. Don't think that because we have 7 weeks of training and gameplay, that certainly at the end of the fall season, every UNIREC player has certainly increased their understanding drastically. Because again, time is limited. All right. So the program setup. Okay. You have Saturday practice sessions. We'll have 4 teams coming in at a time. I believe the girls are at 9. And the boys are 10-15. Sessions take place at the grass field by Jefferson Elementary School. We have 4 professional coaches available, 1 for each team. Each team gets their own assigned trainer, professional coach for the fall season, for the Saturday sessions. And we also have a lead coach there to help run the sessions effectively, to provide additional oversight, and also to allow our parent coaches to have a point of contact if they have any questions about the training content or even the games being played. All right, that's Saturday. Then on Sunday, we play our games, which I'll touch on shortly as well, which I believe we have either 12 o'clock kickoff or 1:30 kickoff games, again, at the Jefferson Elementary School. All right, so that's really UNIREC, Saturday training, Sunday games. Now, the game format and the rules of play, which is really important, and I'll spend a little bit more time on. So depending on numbers, all right, the rosters for the boys are slightly bigger than the girls. So if you have enough, if not all of your players show up, 8v8 is an option. For the girls, it may be better to start 7-a-side. I'll show you shortly how to best line up your players in those setups. I'll talk a little bit about offside. Offside will be included. We have referees to referee the game, so you don't have to worry about that. And they will help the players as we go through all this as well. We are including something that's called the build outline. If you have no prior experience with that, I'll highlight that briefly in one of the follow-up slides as well. And throw-ins are a part of it as well, which will also be included in the games. So there we go. So the game format, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to go, give me 1 second, to a different application. All right, so what you see over here on the screen is 7 players lined up to play 7-a-side soccer. All right, don't mind the player branded number 10 on the outside right now. This is as if you were, let me make it a little easier for you. All right, this is our organization, 7v7. All right, I'm gonna increase the size a little bit. My apologies. So it's easier to read. There we go. 7-a-side. All right, it means, as you can see, we have 1 goalkeeper, 2 defenders who cover largely the central areas, although if one steps out to the side, the other one can squeeze over and help him or her out. We have right and left wingers who can move up and down the field. a central midfielder, excuse me, a central midfielder, right, who maybe plays a little deeper than the wingers, and somebody on top. Now, as you can tell, in this organization, when you play 7-a-side, and this is a format setup that we use in travel as well, right? It should be possible for players to create little triangles and diamonds everywhere, and those triangles and diamonds are created to make sure to support off the ball in angles when somebody has the ball. So, for example, include the equipment. I got my left midfielder has the ball. All right. Now there's support potentially possible for my left center back. My center mid is able to support potentially. Again, there's no opponents. I get that. Or even the number 9. As you can tell, from the 3 to the 9 to the 6 to the 5. Once again, the left center back, central mid, left mid / left winger, and center forward. There is a little, right? I'm going to use my tools again. All right. There is a little triangle. All right, keep going here. You have a little, sorry, a diamond and a double triangle, I should say. So there's always support. All right, and as you can tell, here we go. All right, triangles and diamonds. That's why we prefer this setup, all right, at this in this age group. Now, the boys have slightly bigger rosters, and we want to make sure players are given as much opportunity to play as possible. All right, now, if you have the numbers, you can add an extra forward, okay, to make sure, all right, that you can play 8v8 accordingly. Just taking this away. All right, so now the change here is that we have 7 field players, 1 goalkeeper. Okay, I'm just taking these lines away right now. And as before, 1 goalkeeper, 2 central defenders, a central midfielder, a right winger, a left winger. Now you have 2 players on top. All right. I'm opting to share this with you, so the change from one setup to the other isn't too drastic. Obviously, now you have 2 players on top versus 1, right? But it's a very simple change. So that 1, we have 2. If we go 7-a-side, once again, just take one of the central players on top out. Oh, what did I do now? There we go. And it's 7-a-side again. Okay. And this setup, adding an extra center forward, we go 8v8. That's how simple it is. So whether you play 7-a-side or 8v8, this should provide you with as much continuity as possible. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this because there's a couple other things I still need to discuss. Going back to the actual presentation. There we go. So that's the game format. All right, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Now, there's a couple of rules of play that are unique to U9, U10 soccer. That players, if they didn't do the U8 Academy last spring, will be introduced to this fall, right? And whether you continue to rec in the county or travel, either way, players need to have an understanding of this format, right? Because these rules are used across the state, better yet, across the nation, right? So on a goal kick, or when the goalkeeper has possession of the ball with their hands, the opposing team must move behind the build-up line until the ball is put back into play. My next slide, I'll show you a picture that includes the build-up line. So bear with me, please, okay? The goalkeeper can pass, throw, or roll the ball to put it back into play. You're not allowed to punt the ball. Neither are drop kicks allowed. Really important to understand. At U9 and U10, there is no punting, okay? On a goal kick, or when the goalkeeper has possession of the ball with their hands, the opposing team may cross the build-out line when, and this is important, all right? The defending team retreats behind the build-out line. This is when the game is live, as in when the opponent is allowed to defend. As soon as the goalkeeper changes possession from their hands to play the ball with their feet, that's 1. Or a second touch is made by another player on the goalkeeper's team. So the goalkeeper plays the ball to, say, one of his or her defenders. All right, or the ball comes to a complete stop, or the ball crosses the build-out line. All right, I'll leave this up so you can read through it one more time. Now, this has all been put into play by US Soccer, the governing body of soccer across the US, right, to promote positive play, to teach players how to play the ball from the back in a less pressurized situation, right? Instead of seeing teams and players kick the ball from side to side without fully developing their ability to pass and receive the ball under pressure and move the ball off the field. Now, the rules of play on the build-out line. So over here, you see a field from left to right, one goal on the left, one on the right, which includes build-out lines. As you can tell, these two blue lines on either side divide the playing field into thirds effectively. Okay, if my team has possession of the ball on the left side, whether it's a goal kick or the keeper just the goalkeeper just retrieved the ball after an opponent took a shot, the opponent has to withdraw behind, and hopefully you can see my cursor, but withdraw behind this blue build-out line. And they're not allowed to step up and put pressure on the ball unless the goalkeeper has taken a second touch, for example, put the ball into play for him or herself, pass the ball, as stated before, from the keeper to one of his teammates, or her teammates, I should say. When the ball crosses the build-out line, so this blue line, or when the ball stops rolling, which could obviously happen as well. As I just stated before, right? These four, this is when the ball is live, right? When somebody's allowed to attack the ball again. But when we start on a goal kick, or the keeper has the ball in his or her hands after retrieving it from a save, players need to withdraw behind the build-up line. Now, hopefully that doesn't create too much confusion. To make things a little more confusing still, just so you know, at U9, offside is called in the attacking third of the field. So again, I'm defending the goal on the left side. The build-out line now on the other side of the field also denotes where offside will be called. So my team can only be offside in the final third, or the attacking third of the field. So from the blue line to the opposing end line. All right. Last but not least, what do we expect of our volunteers? First and foremost, you put up a smile every Saturday and Sunday. Assume that you're able to make all of them. And make sure it's a great experience for those children in your care. Right? Again, want to make sure it's we create an environment in which they're able to fall in love with the sport if they haven't yet. Make sure we create a child-centered environment, an environment in which it's about their needs. You are there to facilitate. I would argue that you're more a facilitator than a coach. We're creating an environment in which we can hopefully fulfill the three objectives set, right? Part of our development philosophy, the three core tenets of our development philosophy. It's all about the needs of the children. If you find yourself coaching everything during every game, telling players what to do, you have certain players play more than others, even though we're talking about 7 and 8 year olds. You're not creating a child-centered environment. It's an adult-driven environment focused on the outcome and not on the development of these individuals in your care. All right, this especially is key. We focus on the process. Even at the highest level, where winning is a must, the best teams know that they got to look at the process. If there is no clear process, there is no focus on clear objectives, no development will take place. Now, we are in an environment where wins or losses don't matter. Right? We can manipulate things to a certain extent to make sure the games are competitive. We want to make sure the games are competitive. But we look at whether or not we are able to meet our development objectives as set forth before, which were help them get a better understanding of the width of the field, find a way as a team to create more openings, right? Improve their overall decision-making and ability on the ball, okay, and take advantage of potential openings when they present themselves, okay? Find a way to include the other parents. Let them also know about our development objectives, okay? Let them know what we're looking to do, right? A lot of parents, and they mean no harm. They just simply want their children or child, I should say, child or children to do well, and they don't necessarily always realize what proper child development means and what steps you need to take to help your child become better at anything, really. So let them know what we're focused on. All right, that's also the objective of this presentation, give you a better understanding of all that. And how do you measure the success of a coach? There's many ways to do so. I love this one. Right? Unfortunately, in our environments, people quickly go to outcome. As I just said, the process is way more important. Not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. All right. That's it. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I am Ruben, the Director of Coaching of the WSA. I can be reached at doc@westfieldnjsoccer.com. Once again, doc@westfieldnjsoccer.com. Thank you.